What's good? This is Marcus the Fingers, entering another competition by We Sample Everything, another sample contest. Actually, let me bring this up real quick. Here's the contest right here. You know the drill, download the sample, drop a small video clip, how you flip the sample, tag everyone. So shout out to Cheez Da Producer, Beatmakeristhesquad, Cypha Omni, DragonFlyBry, Chick on the Beat, and J1StarBeatz for this opportunity. They've been doing some dope things. I'm fairly new to the We Sample Everything team, but they've been doing some dope things for producers, sample challenges, contests, releasing tutorials, sample kits, merchandise, all kinds of stuff to help the producer community. So for this contest, they provided a sample. I took it into Beatmaker 3, you know how I do. And I actually tried to use a lot of elements from the sample. It was a sample that had different sounds in it. So I tried to use them on different tracks and split the sample up. And the only thing I added that wasn't part of the original sample was the drums. So here we go. Here I am in Beatmaker 3. So what I did was, I think I started with this reverse bell sound right here. So I chopped them all up first and threw them on separate tracks. So they actually aren't in the order that I recorded them, because I found the sounds, chopped them up first, threw them on the tracks. But I started with this reverse bell. So the original bell, this is the original sample for that bell. So I started with that. I lowered it down 3 semitones and I reversed it, and I came up with something like this. Let me solo this. And I chopped up the sounds, so I came up with guitar chops, another delay bell, the synth pad, reverse piano, piano, and bass. So the guitar part, here's the original guitar that they had going on. Actually, it's this one. So that does this thing. I actually threw some effects on there on the actual. I threw it in Star Clevgran to add some sort of guitar effects in there, and I used this Bone Machine preset and then tweaked it a little bit, and then I used the FAC Altezza to add some of that reverb. I have about a 44% feedback, and you see my settings there to just give it some space. Here's what the guitar is doing. I pitched it down 3 semitones, so all the samples I pitched so that they're in the same key. So I pitched them all down 3 semitones. This one I did not reverse, so I kept it going forward. But I pitched it so that it sort of matched what I was doing here. So here we go. So right now, it probably doesn't make any sense at all to you because of the way it sounds. But once you hear the sounds blended together, you hear you'll see what's going on. So delay bell on this one, I took that sound, chopped it up into some pieces. So those different chops there, those come in right around here. The next track I got going on is synth pad. So this one I chopped up. So I actually brought that down 3 semitones and chopped that up into 4 pieces. And here is what those chops sound like. We'll bring this in right here. Got some Effectrix, this emerged preset. I don't know if it's a factory preset or if it's one that I installed, but I might have tweaked that too. But here's that Effectrix setting. That's where you're getting some of that, some of those effects and glitches and stuff in that sound. So I have that on the synth pad. Again, that's from the same sample that was provided. So it actually wasn't reversed. I called it reverse piano because when I chopped it up and sampled it, I reversed it so I can get these chops. And I'm only using those 2 chops. And here's what they're sounding like right about here. So that comes in right about there. And then I have this other piano layered under that. This is where I used I didn't reverse it, and I used some of the chops. So here is the original of this piano here. So I pitched that down 3 semitones and chopped that up into these parts. So I like those hits there. Some effects I got on there, just a stereo delay. And here is how that sounds. I actually played both of those pianos together so you can see how that blends together. Finally, from the sample, I used a bass. It came with a pretty generous bass that I just chopped up to sort of come up with the bass line. The original bass, I believe, so here's the original bass line. So I basically took those and basically chopped it up through some Go To EQ by Clevegrand. I used this Good Start preset at the top here, and then threw it into Lo-Fi Dirt to add a little bit more warmth to it, and then a little bit of reverb. Some of the bass was sort of cutting off before I wanted it to end, so I just wanted to add a little bit of space to it, just to give it some space in the mix. So here is a sample of what the bass is doing in the mix. The vinyl I took from the original sample that was provided, and I threw in some vinyl just to lay it under the whole beat. So you hear some of that vinyl as if it was off a record. So the drums I actually threw into FAC Transient to add that punch on drums preset. I didn't tweak anything here, I just used that preset going into Maxima. Again, if you've seen some of my other videos, you know this is sort of my drum channel. Into Lo-Fi Dirt. And then Effectrix comes in with these settings throughout the beat. You'll hear some reverb on that metal snare hit on every other bar coming in and out of the beat. And then you'll hear some of this filter coming in. So my current master bus channel consists of this Tone Boosters Real Bus. I usually go between this Master Tape 15 and this Master Tape 30 preset. And I just put that at the top of my master channel of the main out. And just depending on how much compression I want, how it affects the sound of the track. So on this one, I went with the 15, I believe. Then I add some stereo width to the track. So on band 1, which is the low end, I usually take it either all the way down to 0 or close to like 20, 30, 40, somewhere down there. Band 2 is usually between 110, 130-ish. Band 3, I actually usually do between like 150, 170. And then band 4, close to the 200 range. And this is basically how wide these bands are. So the bottom end, you pretty much want like your kick and bass pretty much in mono. And then as you go up sort of the frequency spectrum, you sort of get it wider and wider. So I like what that does to the mix. I believe this is a free plugin. I don't know the company, but stereo width, check it out. And then finally into Bark Filter, I'm using the triple band preset. If you've seen other videos, you've seen me talk about this before. This is sort of like a final mastering thing that I throw on the channel in Beatmaker 3. So triple band preset, bring the output gain down a little bit so it's not like clipping anything. And that's basically it. So this is what we'll do. We're gonna play through the whole thing. Here we go.
The fingers on
Yo, we sample everything. So here's what I did for the last beak little battle. So yo, this is what I did. You know, I loaded all the samples. I just threw that sample in there and put my own.
It is a new conception about the nature of the cosmic world. These concepts are inadequate.
Found that from some scientist. You know what I'm saying? Dropping science. And here's the sample. You know, all thrown in there. So then I went, bam! Wait. I messed that up. So then, go back to song and start. And then I went,
it is a new conception about the nature of the cosmic world. These concepts are
and then I took that beat and hit up my friend, Peter Sparker, the Black Spider-Man. And he did a verse. And I did a verse. And we made a track like that too. So I think I sent that over to you guys also. And that's about it. See you next time on We Sample Everything.
It is a new conception about the nature of the cosmic world. These concepts are inadequate. It is a new conception about the nature of the cosmic world. These concepts are inadequate. About the nature of the cosmic world. These concepts are inadequate. It is a new conception about the nature of the cosmic world. These concepts are inadequate.
Washington, aka MR. So here's my entry for the We Sample Everything Sample Challenge. This time around, I learned my lesson to show more of my work. So here we go. I use this portion here for the bass. This little first note here. You're gonna hear that same note again filtered out. I use that within a kit within Beatmaker called the Kipper Belt Kit. The settings was out pretty much already set, so I liked the way it sounded, and I just kept it, so I use that as well. I also use this little breakdown within the sample here. And I also use I Am One by Korg, a little saxophone sound, and I just played a little bit with that on the keys, and that was pretty much it. Oh, and I also use FAC.
Alright, I'm just going to go through the tracks so you can see exactly how I actually constructed this whole beat from the sample. Track 1, drums. Track 2, something that I grabbed from the sample. Track 3. Another part I grabbed from the sample. This part of the sample right here, I tuned that down. Alright, yeah, so track 4, got a piano hit. Track 5, more drums. 6, more drums. 7, actually, got this artist saying click clack off this record, so I just did that and tuned it down, and that's what I got. Click clack. And that's all I wanted. Let's see here, and track 8, more drums. Track 9, I got another section of that sample, extracted out of that, and came out with this. Yeah, I had to grab that little sample. That's something else I actually sample off a different record. Just that little section, it just stood out to me, so I had to grab it. Add that little sauce to it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. With all those tracks combined, this is the outcome.